What turns an ordinary person into someone capable of cruelty? Is it personality? Is it upbringing? Or is it simply the situation they are placed in? In 1971, a psychologist at Stanford University believed he could answer that question. He did not expect the answer to disturb the world of psychology for decades. This is the true story of the Stanford Prison Experiment, a study that began as an academic idea and ended as a warning about power, authority, and how fragile morality really is. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, America was struggling with authority. The Vietnam War, civil rights protests, police brutality, and overcrowded prisons were dominating the news. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo wanted to understand why prisons often became violent places even when most people inside them were not violent to begin with. He asked a dangerous question. Are prisoners violent because they are bad people, or does the prison system itself create cruelty? Zimbardo believed the environment mattered more than personality. To test this idea, he designed an experiment that would simulate prison life. Not in a real prison, but in the basement of Stanford University. He placed an advertisement in a local newspaper asking for male college students to take part in a psychological study of prison life. The pay was $15 per day, which was good money at the time. 75 men applied. After careful screening, 24 were selected. Anyone with a criminal record, mental illness, or history of violence was rejected. These men were normal, middle class, college-educated, mentally healthy. There was nothing unusual about them, and that was the point. They were randomly divided into two groups. Half became guards. Half became prisoners. No one chose their role. A coin flip decided. This detail matters, because what happened next did not come from bad people. It came from roles. To make the experience feel real, local police were involved. Without warning, the prisoners were arrested at their homes. They were handcuffed, read their rights, and placed in police cars while neighbors watched.
Some thought it was a mistake.
Others felt embarrassed, confused, and powerless. They were taken to a real police station, fingerprinted, photographed, strip-searched, blindfolded, and then driven to the Stanford basement. The basement had been transformed. Small rooms became prison cells. Doors were replaced with steel bars. A solitary confinement closet was added. Prisoners were given loose smocks instead of clothes, rubber sandals, and a chain locked around one ankle. They were no longer called by their names. They were given numbers. Their identity began to disappear. The guards were given military-style uniforms, whistles, wooden batons, and mirrored sunglasses to hide their eyes. They were told one thing only: maintain order, but do not use physical violence. On the first day, nothing seemed wrong. Everyone felt awkward. Guards were uncomfortable giving orders. Prisoners laughed nervously. Everyone still remembered this was an experiment. That feeling did not last. On the second day, the prisoners rebelled. They refused orders, blocked cell doors with beds, and insulted the guards. The guards panicked. They had no training and no rulebook. So they did what humans often do when authority is challenged. They escalated. They used fire extinguishers to blast prisoners. They stripped prisoners naked. They placed ringleaders in solitary confinement. This was the turning point. The guards quickly learned they did not need physical violence. They needed humiliation and control. Prisoners were forced to do push-ups while guards stepped on their backs. They were made to clean toilets with bare hands. They were ordered to repeat their prison numbers again and again until their voices broke. Some prisoners were labeled good. Others were labeled bad. This created division. Prisoners began policing each other. The system was working exactly like a real prison. Within days, prisoners stopped referring to themselves by name. They spoke in numbers. Some showed severe emotional distress. One prisoner cried uncontrollably and had to be released early. Another developed a rash caused by psychological stress. Their bodies reacted before their minds could understand what was happening. The guards changed too. They worked longer hours than required. They volunteered to come in on their days off. Some became creative with punishments. A few seemed to enjoy the power. Most did not enjoy it, but they stayed silent. And silence allows abuse to grow. The The most disturbing part came from the experiment's creator himself. Philip Zimbardo was not just observing. He had taken on the role of prison superintendent. When prisoners complained, he did not hear students in distress. He heard inmates causing trouble. He encouraged the guards to maintain control. He stopped being a scientist and became part of the system. Parents and visitors were allowed to observe. They saw shaved heads, broken confidence, and emotional collapse. Yet no one stopped it. Authority masked reality. Even outsiders accepted the prison illusion. Then a graduate student named Christina Maslach visited the experiment. She watched guards humiliating prisoners and said something no one else had said. "What you are doing is wrong." That sentence ended the experiment. It was supposed to last 14 days. It ended after 6. Zimbardo later admitted he had lost objectivity. He famously said they were not studying evil people, but good people placed in an evil situation. The experiment echoed real history. In Nazi Germany, many perpetrators were ordinary citizens. In Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments, people delivered what they believed were deadly electric shocks simply because an authority figure told them to. The pattern is clear. Power plus legitimacy plus silence equals abuse. Over time, the Stanford Prison Experiment faced criticism. Some argued the guards were encouraged to act cruel. Others said the study lacked scientific controls. These criticisms are valid. But even critics agree on one thing. The psychological damage was real. The lesson remains powerful. This experiment is still taught today because it explains prison abuse, police brutality, workplace bullying, and political oppression. It shows how systems shape behavior more than we want to admit. The most uncomfortable truth is this. Most people are not heroes. Most people are not villains. Most people are followers of structure. When power goes unchecked, cruelty does not announce itself. It grows quietly, behind rules, uniforms, and silence. The most frightening question is not what happened in that basement. The question is what role you would have played.